Welcome to the Spin Wiz Comic Show.
Whoa.
From Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us for exclusive interviews with the publishers bringing you the newest titles in indie comics, webcomics, movies, and more.
No way.
And now, here's your host, Jeff Palumbo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is great to see you. We have a show for you tonight. If you are following us on Twitter, I can only say that it's going to be an absolute shit show. And I'm super pumped about it. So I've been following this dude for a while because he's part of Scout Comics. He and I happened to sync up because Jonathan Hendrick was on a couple weeks ago. This nice gentleman was in the chat. Brian Silverbacks came in and was like, I want to be on the show. And Adam's like, dude, I'll be on too if you want. I'm like, hell yeah, that's great. So through that, I'm a big fan of Scout Comics anyway, even though they're not a partner on the site. I am friends with Jonathan. I know their CEO. We all have good reasons as to why they're not yet, and I will tag that with a yet. So hopefully someday it'll happen. I'm sure it will. But until then, I'm going to keep bringing on all their artists and all their creators and just making them look great. So without further ado, bringing them in, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Barnhardt in the house.
Jeff, thanks for having me. I will say, right off the top of the show, I was scrolling through Facebook a few nights ago. I'm like, man, I'm gonna text Jeff and cancel because he had Brian on before me, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But
my hope is you're going to be like, you know what? Brian was on, so it really, maybe you're like, it lowered the bar. So now, like, I got a clear field just to jump and be. Right. I mean, that's the way I played it anyway.
Right. And ratings too. You know, I'll take the stats and analytics from this, and we'll compare and, you know, private messages and such.
Oh yeah. You can guarantee that there will be a private discussion between you, myself, and Brian, and maybe even Jonathan Hendrick. Just to get all you guys in and see who did the best on what show.
Yeah, but I was on. Who said that? Someone was on Twitter the other night and called John the next Donnie Cates. So I'm not even in the same league as John at the moment. So
really,
we'll have to see about that. Yeah, someone called him the next Donnie Cates. So he's got that going for him. I'm not sure who I'm the next. I'm not the next anybody yet. We'll get there though.
Well, you and me both, man. I'm just the next. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm hoping the show gets a bourbon or a Scotch sponsor in the near future. That's
not even. It doesn't even have to be good bourbon at this point, right? You just want the sponsorship and free bourbon. You know.
Yeah, I want to drink on stream whatever they're giving me, and I'll be like, and hopefully somebody will drink with me, get hammered, and just have a good time. I mean, this show is not for kids,
right?
So, I mean, not that your comic really is either. So.
No, it's not. It is not. It is not a children's book. It is not a children's book.
Yeah,
per se. You know, but I'm right there with you, man. I cannot wait to sell out. So
yeah, I mean, my favorite bourbon is Basil Hayden. So if they ever come calling, I know I hit maybe not payday, but at least in my mind, I am now successful. That Basil Hayden's is just like, you're the best. Right. We think you're great, and let's drink. I'll be like, all right. And I'm not even that big of a drinker, but if I do, at least I like to drink the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but if you're getting paid for it, hey, I'll drink $10 Scotch.
Right.
I mean, I'll be sick later, but it's all worth it for the show.
It's all worth it.
So you and I have never personally met before, obviously over in IM and stuff like that. I've known who you are. Why don't you give us a little bit for people that may not know who you are? In the community, because a lot of what I try to do is just help people get discovered and kind of expand their user base. Not that people don't already know who you are, but there might be people that haven't heard of Shit Show and haven't heard of you. What kind of background do you have that kind of like, is this your first title ever?
It is my first published title ever.
With Scout.
With Scout, and I wasted it on Shit Show, on a book called Shit Show nonetheless. But yeah, it is my first published work. I did I've done stuff prior. I did this one book. I read it, went back to read it the other day, and it's worthless, so I'm not even going to bring it up. But it was I did that, and I've done some short stories and things like that, all digitally. But yeah, this is my first published work. So I still have yet to very much. I don't feel I've broken into comics yet, but this is certainly my first step. By day, I'm an entertainment journalist, staff writer for an entertainment website.
Nice.
So I write movies, TV, write about movies, TV, comics in the work. So pretty much an around the clock writer.
Wow. So you're a journalist by trade. And
Hmm.
that got you, is that what got you into writing comics? Or were you just like, dude, I am so tired of reading comics and having them not be the story I want that I'm just going to make my own?
That's surprisingly enough, that's kind of a little bit of what it is. My frustrations with stuff I've been consuming has certainly led to some stories I'm working on now. I've always kind of crafted stuff and written stuff, I guess by trade, I'm a marketer and digital media, social media person, so I like creating stuff, and I'd love to write film and TV someday. So I was adjacent to comics the way it was, and I took a shot on it, and here we are, man. That's kind of the gist, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Well, I mean, it's not like you started small. You landed with a
Hmm.
top tier publisher.
Hmm.
Scout Comics in the last year has skyrocketed
Right.
to stardom. I mean,
Hmm.
holy crap! Granted, their CEO and editor in chief are ridiculously smart as well. So I mean,
Hmm.
their biz dev is just amazing. But I it's great that Scout was just like, this is dope. I mean, when you submitted to them, were you just kind of like, yeah, we'll see what happens? They called you back and you're like, really?
That's pretty much exactly it, man. I submitted to Scout, and I was waiting to hear back. I don't think I thought I would hear back eventually. Beings one, it was my first earnest, pitch in earnest, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
um, with a questionable name nonetheless. And it's a superhero book. A lot of small press publishers don't like superhero books. Some don't even bother publishing them, or won't even look at them. I think Scout had only done one prior to this, maybe two. I'm trying to think back of some of the titles. I know of one for sure. So I pitched it, and I wasn't really holding out hope, because it's a small press, a small or a small press superhero book, man. But a couple weeks later, yeah, they said they were all in, and that's reassuring, man. At least they believe in the story.
Well, and everything they touched currently or lately seems to turn to gold. So obviously they saw something in you. Brian Silverback's coming in saying Adam and Jonathan are straight badasses. So obviously Brian Silverback's thinking that he sees something in you too, and he's got a pretty good name on him. He's very helpful in the community. He was on last week, and thank you again for not canceling because he was on last week.
Right,
I
right, right.
greatly appreciate that. I was looking forward to talking to you. So, I mean, congratulations.
Thank you,
I
thank you,
have
thank
my own
you.
comic. It failed, and I started Spinwiz Comics. So, it's great that you're out of the gate starting strong. And
Thank you.
I can't wait for everybody to read it. So let's get in a little bit as to first, before we get into the comic, your
Mhm.
background kind of does set you apart from a lot of other writers, and that a lot of the writers that I know kind of dabble in it.
Mhm.
Like their day job is not writing. It's
Mhm.
they're at you or they're one Jonathan Hendrick, who's on the show and does the recount. He is in pharmaceuticals of some sort, at least healthcare. You actually have a background
Mhm.
in journalism, and in doing so, do you feel like that puts more pressure on you in writing a comic because of the background? Like with me, I'm business by day. I do a bunch of
Mhm. Right.
stuff. My background is engagement strategy and stuff like that. If I fail, it's like the microscope is on me being like, well, you shouldn't have failed. Like you literally had a stacked deck from your experience. Do you feel any of that pressure? Are you just like, no, journalism and this are two different things? It's not even close.
No, I would say the latter, most certainly. You know, I understand they're both writing in a sense, but they're so far apart, the processes and the structuring and all of that. It's not even close. You know, it's not even like I'm writing news tidbits and interviewing people. You know, it's not writing even prose or something like that. You know, it's very clean and newsworthy and structured in a completely different way. So, I mean, personally, I see it as just like a regular job. It's completely separate from at least creative writing, especially comics, because comics are structured completely different from anything you can write, from a screenplay to prose to anything else, you know. So I would say, yeah, I treat it as two different things. You know, I was asked once what I liked most between the two, and even then, I still think it's pretty apples and oranges, right? Mm-hmm. It's not really comparable between the two, the news writing plus comics writing.
Yeah, I love my daytime job, but I love my nighttime job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure Bruce Banner liked his day job, but I know he really liked his night job.
Right.
So I think that I'm lucky in the fact that I do have something I really enjoy during the day with esports, and then I do this at night, and I get to meet all cool people like yourself that are in the same boat. And the fact that I can help some people, like, that's all what it's all about. That keeps me up. Sometimes it keeps me up at night with my head spinning, and I'm just like, oh, crap. But most times it's just like, that's dope. Right. So let's get into your comic. Shit Show, obviously, let's start with first, maybe we start with the title, or maybe we start what it's about, and the title kind of comes up. How do you want to pitch that and tell everybody that hasn't really seen it quite yet, so I can drop some links in chat?
An elevator pitch. Let's just start off as short, little, sweet log line type thing. It's booze fueled carnies with superpowers. Drunk carnies with superpowers. That's
you sold me at hello.
Right. It's it's drunk carnies that drink a lot, and they manage to have a superpowers, and that's kind of where the shit show comes from. It's our protagonist is a gentleman named Richard McCoy. He is the superhero formerly known as Legend, and he formed a traveling circus. That's kind of the basis of shit show. The most concise thing I could say. You know, he forms the Magnificent McCoys, and that's what our story is about.
I love it. And do they, from a superhero perspective, again, you're right, in indie comics specifically, or I'll call it small press, or whichever you prefer, they don't really hit on the superhero genre much. It's not really their thing. They kind of like stuff like Marvel and DC have kind of, if you don't think it's been played out, at least they kind of have it cornered, and that people expect a superhero to be a certain way. Do you alter it at all to not necessarily compete against Marvel and DC, but what creates the shit show? I can imagine that they're making mistakes and kind of some other stuff, or they don't really know what to do. They're not really superheroes, or at least they don't think they are, because it's such a great name. I figure besides it being a carnies of superheroes, there must be something else to it.
There is. It's
without giving too much away, of course.
Right. It is a pretty fresh take on the world of superheroes. I don't want to say I hate calling stuff gritty and grounded, but that's kind of what it is here. It's a deconstruction of the genre in a sense, you know. Legend is our quote unquote Superman, you know. He's our demigod type character, and at one point, this Earth had plenty of superheroes, and now it no longer doesn't. And Legend feels like he's responsible for that. So that's kind of how the story goes, who it follows, and what it does. You know, it's this guy who feels like he should have been able to save everyone, and that's how he got into the position he is now. You look at the cover for number one, and he's chugging a beer as everything is on fire and a mysterious being is seen lurking in the shadows. So that's kind of who it is, you know. I didn't want to go bad Superman route, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's seen bad Superman before.
Mm-hmm.
It's been done a dozen times. So this isn't bad Superman. It's just Superman that feels like he maybe could have done more at some point.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a good dude. He's just made um, bad decisions.
Yeah.
And just hasn't been able to live up to the name others created for him, and he feels like that's all his fault.
That's awesome. I love the psychological feel of that, because I think a lot of people in real life, unlike superheroes that can, you know, stuff bounces off them and all sorts of other stuff, and they can't be hurt, and that's why people gravitate towards it. I feel like that is something that people can gravitate towards and say, you know, that I feel that way. I'm a father or a mother, and I don't feel like, you know, my son sees me as whatever, and I think I'm not as good as I could be. I'm not as good at my job. I could have been a better partner. I could have been a better son or a daughter. And you live sometimes with that guilt. And it's not guilt that anybody else is putting on you. Everybody else thinks you're doing just great. But it's the inside guilt and the, let me see, what do I want to say? It is the onus one's put on their own ego that really drags them down. Would you say that sort of is? I mean, I see you nodding your head, so I figure I'm pretty right. But
yes, that is exactly. I mean, that's exactly what this book is. You know, it's kind of born out of my own personal anxieties a bit. You know, you always have that demon on your shoulder, you know, pulling you one way and saying either you're not good enough or you're not doing something when you're supposed to be doing. Or what, you know, it's the whole false idol thing as well. You know, that kind of came from my job a little bit too, you know, talking to people in Hollywood and such. You know, you talk to them and they're regular ass people, man. They're like you and I, you know. Certainly their bank accounts larger and their houses are larger, and they have more famous friends than you and I have. But they wake up and they have health issues and they have stress and they have all this other stuff. And that's kind of what we run into here with Richard McCoy.
I love it, man. I cannot wait to read it. I think that is like right up my alley of what I want to read next. And I'm not saying that it's shit show, but that's the type of story that I can't write that I want to read. So I'm completely down. So I dropped some links for Previews World, so you can order it right now. Go to your store and drop it in there. Make sure your favorite comic book store, make sure you visit them. Ask for this. The link is in there. I also put in a link for your Facebook page so they can follow you on Facebook.
Awesome.
And if you're on Facebook Live right now watching, you can just click on it. But if you are on YouTube, the links are below. Just scroll down. They're right there. You can't miss them. And if you've never been to YouTube before, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but scroll. Right. They're right there. I promise. So I have it actually up. Can I? Would you mind if I read the summary of that you have written?
Oh, go ahead.
And I'll try to give it some of my my snazzy radio
your pizzazz.
voice.
Yeah, I can hear that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, oh man, let me actually take a drink first. I didn't think anything was going to come up on that last cough, but allergy season. Holy cow!
Yes, it is. I hear you there, man.
Good Lord. All right, here we go. The world once had an age of heroes, where Legend, the principled protector of peace, and his legion defended the earth from threats far and wide. Then, in the blink of an eye, unimaginably horrific forces catapulted the age of heroes into extinction. Now, as people wander aimlessly through a heroless world, the magnificent McCoys travel far and wide to showcase their powers for the almighty penny. Led by the drunkard Richard McCoy, the hero once known as Legend, the McCoys try to find normalcy in a world that is just slivers of what it once was. As the dust finally begins to settle, the dark force that looked to conquer the world returns to finish the job it started. Can legend remain sober enough to put this mysterious force down once and for all? Find out in Shit Show number 1 in shops December 2nd, 2020. So,
Man, that's a hell of a commercial you just did. You know that?
hey, you're welcome to clip it and use it if you want.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I have a face for radio, so anywhere I can help out with a good voiceover, I'm more than happy. I used to be like attractive and good looking and stuff, like in my 20s, and then I went bald, and luckily my wife is smoking hot and she has a ring on her finger, so she kind of has to like me. But yeah, I mean, I like doing voiceover work, so if you ever need anything, man, you let me know.
I will probably hit you up after that one.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
That'll be fun. I might even clip that and give that to you if you want it.
Bro, I'm down, man. Hell yeah, that sounded great.
It only take me I'll load up the audio and you can have it. So listen, anything else you want to talk about? We've been here. I don't want to keep you too long. It's a Wednesday night. It's hump day.
All right. No, man.
You probably hustle like the rest of us, which I'm sure you do. But anything else you want to talk about while you're here? You got the floor.
You covered it, man. It's up for pre-order until this Sunday, the 18th, I do believe.
Go grab it.
Go grab it, man. Thanks to the wonders of the comic distribution system, you have to pretty much pre-order it to guarantee your copy. So head off to your comic shop and pre-order it. Send them a message if you want, and do it to it, man. It's I had a blast writing it. I hopefully you all have a blast reading it, because if enough people read it, we do have plenty more stories to tell.
Hell yeah! Oh, one thing I forgot to ask: who's illustrating it?
Samir Smau's the guy's name.
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard of him. I mean, that's probably I just haven't heard of that name.
Right. Met him on Facebook. Believe it or not, he's
Holy crap, really?
Yeah, from Brazil. So amazing work.
Does he do the whole thing? Pencils, inks, and colors?
Not colors, no, not colors, just pencils and inks. Warnia does our colors. She's turned it into a superstar now. She's doing all sorts of stuff. She's on some Vault titles, on some Mad Cave titles.
Damn.
She's got plenty of work. But yeah, and then Justin from Letter Squids does our letters, and
good.
And I have to, I gotta send you the PDF. That's my fault for not getting it to you beforehand.
Good,
but Justin, man, he takes it up a whole other level. It's insane. But yeah, perfect team to work with, man. Super good collaborators.
Well, I tell you what, I was talking to Justin the other day, and I thanked him for being a letterer. Because you can have great art, and if your letters suck, it kills the flow.
Yep.
I mean, it is a thing. Like the way that people do the fonts, it's not just printing inside of one little, a bubble. All of that makes a big difference. Which because there's no the perceived motion, the way your eye goes is one thing, but to have that emotion is what comes through text. And if you cannot portray emotion in text, you're a shitty letterer, and there are a lot of shitty letterers out there.
Yes. It makes or break a book. It makes or break a book. It's insane. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, Justin's amazing, man. I don't know what else to say. I always rave about them, but I don't know what else to say, but other than he's amazing. And if you're a creator or something, you should hire him, because his work's incredible. And I've worked on him on a few projects now, and he doesn't have the same style. He certainly works with the art best, and it's just incredible work. And he takes it up another notch here. It's insane. I wish I could show you guys some stuff and talk about certain examples of the stuff, but you'll see it for yourself. It comes out, and then December 2nd, first issue comes out, and you will all be impressed by it. Hopefully.
Hell yeah. I know they will. 100%. So listen, man, thank you for being on the show. I greatly appreciate it. Hang with me real quick so I can sign off, and then I'll be right back with you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Barnhardt here from Scout Comics, releasing Shit Show get to your store ASAP. If you're seeing this after the fact, cross your fingers and pray to God you can find it in the store in December.
Right.
All right, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff.
You bet. So, what an awesome dude, right? I mean, I'm telling you, the guys that I'm starting to talk to and interview, recently, obviously from Scout, but we had Ryan Cummins on last week on Sunday. All these great indie people, again, they have great content, but the best part about them is they're great people. They're just like you and me. They're trying to crank stuff out. They have day jobs. Some of them have families. Some of them have both, hopefully. Or at least the day job part. So they're not, trying to make ends meet through trying to go through small press, which is tough in its own right. And they come home every night and they write, or they color, or they draw, or they letter, or they edit. And it's just because they love it. And their main goal from almost everybody is, I just want people to read it and like it, man. Like it's like the number one thing everybody says. So go support this dude. Again, it's in stores. The links are in there. If you're on YouTube, it's on the bottom. We'll be back on Sunday with another crew. Let me see who's that. So I actually have Robert Nugent and crew coming in. So this is going to be the first ever Stan Yak interview on Sunday. Calling in from Russia. I don't know how the hell. I hope he has good internet. But hey, who knows? But the infamous Stan Yak is going to be on our show, and I'm super pumped. So thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful night. Have the great rest of your weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. We'll talk to you soon. Later.